Hi, this is Pamela, and I'm just going to do a quick journal walkthrough with this journal that I created for my father. I found this book at a thrift shop. It's a book that I just emptied out and repurposed as a journal for my father. It's a Canadian book that was written in the early 1950s, and it's called Scrubs on Skates by Scott Young. And I really was drawn to it mostly because of the color and this embossed hockey player on here. My dad, as a true North Canadian, adores hockey. I cannot remember a winter without my father watching hockey on the television. So I thought this would be a perfect fit for him. So what I did for a closure was I just put an elastic and a grommet in the back with a Tim Holtz post, I guess is what I'll call it. And then the elastic just locks it in. It's 4 signatures in here. I have the title page from the book just sticking in this signature, and it's got part of the illustration from the book, and a little pocket here. And so I'm going to just quickly go through this, and I made it as masculine as I could. I don't think my dad wanted little bows and stuff like that. And what I did also is I found some questions, like prompts to ask him, and I just printed it out and then cut it out and glued it into the journal just to give him some ideas of things to write down, things that it would be fun for us to know, fun for the grandchildren to know. Here's another little tuck spot. Some graph paper, some travel themed paper. So I put in some papers that kind of, like, my dad likes travel and he likes gardening and he likes sports and all of those things, right? So I decided to add those things into this journal for him. This is one of those questions. I have it running across the page here because it would not fit here, and I didn't want to cut it. I just didn't. So I thought it would be more playful to kind of put the questions in different spots. This is an index card with one of the illustrations from the book stuck in here with a plain paper clip. And here's a little tuck spot, just a little bit of botanical things, muted colors, but just sort of like a nod to gardening. Old radios and stuff like that. Yeah. So here's another like travel poster. Something that my dad put in a request for was some spiritual stuff in here too, which is another big part of his life. And I kind of was a little nervous about doing that because I feel like that's kind of a personal thing. But I did manage to find in a Christmas book a scripture. This book is very big. It's like this plus more. So I managed to find a cool scripture, a cool page, and I put it into this book. So it's got this, it says, "His name shall be called." It's got the cool script and everything in here. It looks sort of like medieval, actually, to me. And then I think there's something coming up here that I want to talk about. This is another index card with the drawings from the book. Some old-timey gentlemen. As a Tim Holtz. I have some football or rugby here, postcard. So this is the other side of that sort of medieval page, but it had this writing right here. And I wanted to cover that, but I wanted it also to be useful. So I just put this coffee dyed envelope on it. So he can obviously put treasures in here. But I also chose to just glue it on 3 sides and create a pocket at the top. And then I created this little card, just with, cardstock. It's plain on the inside. And then I added this seal, and it has a bumblebee on there. Just another nod to gardening and dreaming of summer. And so on the inside, it's like the other part of that page. I had to cut it right here, right? So, wonderful counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Isaiah 9:6. And so that's the little bit of spiritual stuff that I put in here for him. And it's his job to fill it in with the rest. I found this really cool book at a thrift store. And it's like a register, and all the pages are numbered. And it's a really long book. And I didn't really have to do a whole lot as far as trimming. So I added that in here too, that you can see in the in the previous pages. There was more of this kind of paper. And then I have little handmade cards with little punches and little tucks and things like that. Live more, worry, and worry less. That's a good tip for everybody. This one is got a little tuck spot in there. And another coffee dyed index card with a punch. This is just a punch that I have. And yeah, in that book with the there was these cool pieces of artwork, and it just really reminded me of Canada in the winter in sort of rural properties. Like my father grew up in a very rural area, and so I just kind of imagined my dad as a kid when I looked at these these paintings in this book. So I just kind of added it for a little bit of nostalgia for him. Hopefully he saw what I saw. This is a little tuck spot here. Some words of inspiration, joy, and laugh. This idea is, I have to give credit to Mrs. Cog. So I'm going to give credit to Mrs. Cog. It may have been from someone else, but that's where I saw this idea. Originally was from her. So just, I'll try to remember to put a link to her page in the description at the bottom of this video. So then people can find her. If you haven't discovered her yet, please discover her. She's an inspiration. Yeah, so then you can go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, because it's very easy to do that. So this is another illustration from the book attached to an index card that's been coffee dyed. And in the middle of the signature, I added a tag, a coffee dyed tag, and then I added a seal. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a maple leaf. It's just a little nod to to Canada for my dad. And then this gentleman has a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey on. So just adding little nods. Little ticket. And some graph paper, more of those inspirational words here. Almost coming to the end here. And I just added a little something extra special to my dad's journal. And oh, this horse here, the reason why this picture is cool is I remember this picture of my dad when he was young, and he's sitting on top of a giant horse. Like it could have been a regular sized horse, but my dad was so small, it looked gigantic to me. But anyways, this reminded me of that picture with my dad, because he had like the hat with the flaps over the ears. Anyway, so back to this. Here's the other side of that with a little pocket. I put this piece of fabric in this journal because I made another journal for my mother with this fabric. And this fabric is special. My Nana made a dress for my mother when my mom was, I think she was around 5. And my grandfather carried this picture around in his wallet. I'm actually going to pause it because I managed to get the little picture. So this is the photo. And it's my mother. My grandfather carried this photo around in his wallet. I don't know how long. Long enough that it wore the coating off of the front of it. It's very, very matte. So this fabric is this dress. This is the dress. And that's my mother when she was about 5. So I added that to this fabric band as a pocket to the back of this for my dad, because my mom and dad have been together for coming up to 49 years, and they still love each other, and they've been through a lot together, and I just thought it would be a nice touch to have a piece of this fabric in here for my pops. So that's my journal walkthrough. I thank you so much for spending time with me today. I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.